What's up, YouTubers? Today we have Deka versus Deka. One night only, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. No, it's just whenever day you're watching this. We're going to compare the original, what I'm going to call the OG Deka, which is 20 CV steel, G10 scales. It does not have a deep carry pocket clip, but I didn't mind that entirely. With the new one, which uses FRN. And I just happened to pick this one because I already had the clip point, which is the Wharncliffe dual grind, modified Wharncliffe, I guess. And it does have the deep carry pocket clip with the FRN scales. And it also has the Magnacut steel. So, woo, Magnacut. This is, in fact, my first Magnacut blade. I haven't used this enough. Honestly, I'm testing enough other knives right now. I have carried it a little bit. It seems to be fine. I've had no problems with the 20 CV steel from Hogue. So, as far as that goes, that's going to probably be a wash in terms of the steel. But let's go ahead and get into this particular versus here. So, the original with the G10, I weighed in at 2.6 ounces. And the one with the FRN, which is super light, weighs 2.1 ounces. Still a little bit heavier than your bug outs, but it kind of did feel like the bug out. And specifically the bug out that I didn't like necessarily, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate that, is you can just squeeze these FRN scales there versus the G10 ones. No, you're not squeezing those as much pressure as you want. Well, I mean, you could have superhuman hands. So in terms of that, right out of the gate, I'm really kind of giving an advantage to that one just based on the flimsiness or the lack of flimsiness with the original, the new one with the Magnacut. They do sell, I know, the Magnacut with, I think the only one I've seen so far just had the, there was a marbled carbon fiber, but it was like a kind of a quick run, disappeared from some exclusive. So I don't know about that. But again, talking about the materials here, the OG has CPM 20 CV steel, clip point configuration, G10, and we're going to be comparing it to the Magnacut blade with the FRN, fiber reinforced nylon, or some sort of, injection molded plastic or nylon, with the Wharncliffe there. As far as price goes, I would probably say that let me go ahead and introduce. But the original actually is going for about close to 160 now. That's not nearly what I paid for it. I got it a couple years ago. I'll go ahead and link up here to my original review of the original Deka. Great knife. These are both USA made. Really, really good knives. You can't lose with either one. But you're talking about $160 versus the Magnacut one, which is $130, and there's a reason for that. You can kind of feel that just in hand. In terms of the price, though, if you're looking to save some money, that's where I would say the winner of this particular one would be the new one with the Magnacut. Whether or not you chose the clip point blade or this compound Wharncliffe. In terms of the carry on this one, let me go ahead and demonstrate both of these clips. The original one over here on my right. This one has not a deep carry pocket clip, and you can kind of see, but I don't mind this one. I'm not one of those people that has to have a deep carry. I don't mind having a little bit, a little chunk sticks out of your pocket, but that kind of something gives you something to grab. This one actually goes in and out of the pocket a little bit better. In terms of like catching on stuff, you can see I've actually carried this in a decent bit, so they're both going to scratch on stuff. In terms of the new one, the carry for this one, it is a deep carry pocket clip loop over. However, they did not recess the screws, and they did not give a whole lot of space there. So unfortunately, this one really got caught up on my pants a whole lot, and it annoyed me, and that's why I didn't want to carry it that much, because literally in and out of pocket, that was kind of a loser. So in terms of the carry on this one, the OG is definitely the winner for me. If you value deep carry above, in and out of the pocket a little bit easier, and you kind of want to hide it and make it more obscure, because again, with your deep carry one, you're just going to have just that much showing. So if you value that, you might prefer that one. Not a problem. In terms of the comfort in hand, they're both very similar until you squeeze very hard. The squeezing on this you know, the squeezing on this one with the FRN, again, it comes back to, you can squeeze that. It just kind of pinches in your skin inside that. Just not the best if you're in kind of a deep cut there. The G10 does not move at all, though. So, though they're both kind of have a little bit of sharp edges on that inside channel there where the blade goes, it's about a wash as far as that goes. And I really would say that for that one, comfort in hand, well, actually, you know what? The one thing I did forget about here that just squeezing it kind of right now is the clip being a little bit longer on the original does get in the way a little bit. If you kind of take a look where the bill lands there, it's kind of on the just around the third finger, and yeah, that one is actually not as good. So I guess for EDC, this one being the short clip actually is a little more comfortable. If you're having to squeeze hard, which I don't know what you're going to be doing with this knife being a very thin slicer, I don't know. I think probably in this end, if I had to guess for EDC, I'm actually going to go with the new one because of that shorter clip there. Is just the way it lands is just in a little bit more, it's literally right in between, much more comfortable in my hand. It's just that hard squeeze, I guess I was thinking about. So I'm actually going to give the win on this one to really the new one with the shorter deep carry pocket clip. In terms of like intangibles, the one thing that I really felt a lot is they both deploy. They use the Axis lock, the Able lock. It's the, I don't know, Axis bar lock enabled system. But basically it's like an Axis lock. They're both essentially the exact same in terms of that, and they both work beautifully. Hogue does a great job of that, so no problems with that. But one thing I did notice is not only the materials, where the G10 has a little bit more friction to it, so you feel when you're flicking this around that it's not going to slip out. This one is definitely a little bit more slippery in terms of just kind of rides in your palm and slips a little bit more. So the material, this FRN, is really slippery, not as good. So that's an intangible. And kind of related to that, this one being super light, this one is really, the new one, it has a really kind of a crappy balance point. If you take a look at that, it's basically right at the pivot. And when you're deploying and or kind of flipping around, if you're just flipping, backside and then you go like this, it can tend to slip out of your hand a little bit with the slippery as well as the lack of balance. Whereas the original definitely has a essentially perfect balance point. It's right where that finger's going to go in. So there's no questions about this one. For the most part, the deployment, no matter which method you use, it's basically right in position. So intangibly speaking, the original is going to be your winner. So really, on the whole, I'd have to say it's probably about a 4-2 or 3-2 winner. For me, the original, spend the extra money. Ideally, however, the perfect one for me would be one thing I did kind of forget to talk about is the Generation 2. The new one, you'll notice, is missing these two, I won't say missing these two screw here, but they basically readjusted the cartridge so that it utilizes that third screw up there, and you can kind of see that, yeah. So you can see that one up there utilizes the cartridge, whereas kind of more like the bug out, the original had the cartridge screwed into the middle here. So I do appreciate that, and that would be an intangible. I still think on the whole, the OG wins, for me. Ideally, though, what we're talking about, the perfect one, for me, is going to be the Gen 2 design with the new cartridge that does not have the screws in the middle. It's going to be G10. It's going to probably be Magnacut, just because I think it's pretty similar in terms of behavior. It's just, I think, a little tougher, but I think in terms of stainlessness, sharpenability. In fact, if I had to guess, I haven't sharpened this one yet, but if I had to guess, I think sharpenability is probably going to be a little bit easier on Magnacut. 20 CV is M390, assuming they're essentially analogs, they're both kind of take a little bit more effort, at least from my experience. I think the clip point blade would be a better choice than, for me, this compound. The one thing I did want to kind of demonstrate real quick is with this compound edge, I think they flip-flopped them for me. I would rather have the thin grind here and then have the thicker one out here for stronger tip strength. And I'm going to give an example of a knife, the Riot K3, where I think they did do it right. They put a hollow grind which is super thin behind the edge here for if you're cutting through and you want that super sliciness, but then you have a little bit more toughness out here. Maybe that's just my preference. I don't know. I just think these are flip-flopped. By the way, to me, this looked a lot like a ZT0055 in terms of the blade. So I was like, that looks familiar. For me, I would have preferred. Hogue does a really good job with their grinding and sharpening. Just to flip-flop these. Make this one a little bit thinner and then do the thicker side out there. I don't know. Maybe somebody can help correct me on that one. But the deep carry clip, I would prefer if they recess those screws, and they don't have that one. So literally the perfect Hogue Deka does not yet exist out there. I'm sure that somebody can probably do something to recess the screws themselves on this deep carry clip. Just maybe somewhat of a little mod. I'm not sure though, because they do in fact have those receiving nuts there inside the handle. So I don't know. For me, the overall winner is, in fact, a G10, just really for all the reasons that I have enumerated. But the perfect one for the Hogue Deka, which is a great knife, it just doesn't exist yet. They need to meld the best things that they have between these two, and then they'll have it. So hope this was of use. For me, the winner is going to be the OG, and have a great day. Take care now.